Into the third round of the Into the third round of the Carabao Cup we go now with some classic matches on the agenda, including some all Premier League encounters. Who's going to go through to the next stage? Who's going to go home? We're going to get into that and much more next. Of course, all my picks in just a second. Big shout out to the members and the patrons, you know who you are, but let's get into it. And of course, recap what went on in the last the results and my picks. I think I did okay considering the amount of games. So here we go then, of course, recapping the scores. Now, our predictions are going to be on the left-hand side. The real deal will be on the right. So sit tight. Here we go. We're recapping them. Reading did beat Wimbledon 2-1. I went with a 2-0 win. Cambridge thumped Charlton Athletic. 2 divisions higher. 3-1 win on that one. I went with a 2-1 away win. Wolves did beat West Ham in an all Premier League account on that one, 3-2. I went with the 2-1. Stanley, they lost to Doncaster Rovers. I went with the home win on that. Burton losing at home to Lincoln City. Brentford 2-0 winners in that one. Again, went the other way. Sunderland crashing out to Huddersfield on penalties, 1-1. Final score in that one. Birmingham City, they crashed out to Port Vale. 1-0 win for the Valiant. Meanwhile, Bromley did go to penalties. 1-1. I went with the 2-2 on penalties. I went the other way, though. Wycombe coming out on top. Cardiff did beat Cheltenham 3-0. I went with a 3-1 win. Barnsley did beat Rotherham 2-1. I went the other way. Burnley did beat Derby County 2-1. I went with a 3-0 win. Millwall did beat Coventry 2-1. Got that one spot on the nose. Norwich did lose to Southampton 2-0. Also spot on the nose. Meanwhile, Wrexham did beat Preston 3-2. I went with a 1-0 win. Stoke City losing to Bradford. The Peckerheads 3-0 winners for Bradford City. I went with a 2-1 win. Another penalty shootout, which I got right, but unfortunately I went the other way. I went with a Plymouth victory, but it was Swansea City. Meanwhile, Wigan did beat Stockport 1-0. I went with a 2-1 win. Sheffield Wednesday beat Leeds on penalties after a 1-1 scoreline. Got that one wrong. Everton with a 2-0 win over Mansfield. I went with a 4-1 win. Fulham also picking up the win. 2-0 winners over Bristol City. I went 2-1 winners. Brighton with a 6-0 win over Oxford. I went 2-0 win. And then finally, penalty shootout was the deciding factor. 2-2. Grimsby coming out on top. You know, with a little bit of a little bit of legality issues on that one, but they're through to the next round, guys and girls. So I did myself okay in that round, but we're going to get to the next round of games, which do include these games. Of course, we are getting down to the business end of the tournament, and we're going to start with a trip to Hillsborough. That's right. Now these games are divided over 2 separate weeks. We have a handful of games this coming week, maybe 4 of them, and then we have a load. The rest of them will be next time around. But we're going to get the predictions out now. Might as well, should we? So let's get into it and take a look at Southampton. To it then and take a look at Sheffield Wednesday up against Grimsby coming at you at Hillsborough. That's right. Wednesday under Henrik Pedersen coming into this on 42% form for them right now, and they currently find themselves on back-to-back defeats. Grimsby also coming into this on an okay bit of form right now, just a win and a draw of the last 2, but they have played Wednesday 11 times since the year 2000. 4 wins for the host, 3 wins for the visitors, and there's been 4 draws. They last played each other. It was actually in the EFL Cup in Grimsby. It was last year, back on the 27th of August, and Wednesday won 5-1. The last time they played competitively at Hillsborough was a 0-0 scoreline way back in September 2003. Grimsby are on the back of a 1-1 scoreline against Cambridge. Sheffield Wednesday losing at home to Bristol City. We have odds of 6-5 for Wednesday, 21-10 is Grimsby, 5-2 is the draw. I do think the dream does go on from Grimsby on this one. I've gone with a 2-0 away win here against the Sheffield Wednesday side, who just are in a bit of a damp squib right now. Moving forward, we're going to go to Crystal Palace against Millwall. That is coming at you this coming Tuesday, the 16th as well. This is at Selhurst Park. Grimsby, Palace under Oliver Glasner coming into this unbeaten at least the last 6. However, drawn 4 of the last 6. They're taking on Millwall under Alex Neil, who won 3 of the last 6 themselves. They played each other 23 times since 1994, 8 wins apiece and 7 draws. They last played competitively at Selhurst Park with a 3-1 win for Crystal Palace way back in March 2025. It was in the FA Cup. Coming into this, though, Palace are on the back of a 0-0 scoreline against Sunderland. That makes 3 clean sheets on the bounce. Millwall are on the back of that 1-1 scoreline away to Charlton. The odds for this one, though, Palace are 11-4 on for the victory. 7-1 is your Millwall. 4-1 is the draw. I'm backing Crystal Palace for the W. Going to go with a 2-1 win in a tight old affair. Meanwhile, Brentford taking on Aston Villa. Also, 16th of September. Coming at the Brentford Community Stadium with Keith Andrews doing all right now. Just won defeat the last 4 up against Villa under Unai Emery. Winless in the last 4 matches. They played 16 times in 2016. 5 wins for Brentford, 4 wins for Villa. There's been 7 draws between the 2 sides. They last played competitively over at Brentford. It was back in the league. Brentford coming out on top with a 1-0 win. Goodness gracious me. Brentford are on the back of a 2-2 scoreline at home to Chelsea. Villa on the back of that 0-0 draw away to Everton. It actually makes it 1, 2, 3, 4 games without a goal. In fact, they haven't scored a goal all season, have Aston, but very, very concerning for them. 11-4 on is your tell a lie. It's 13-8 is your Brentford. 29-20 is your Villa. 13-5 is the draw. I do think Villa will come out on top on this one. Going to go with a 2-1 win. They need a win, and hopefully that will spark the goals for them for this season. Meanwhile, the last game this coming week, we'll see Swansea against Nottingham Forest coming at you over at the Liberty, I believe. SwanseaCity.com Stadium. Swansea under Alan Shearer, unbeaten in the last 6 matches. They're on 83% form for them right now, looking good. Against Forest under Ange Postecoglou, yet to get a win. Of course, and Forest have also just 1 win in the last 6 matches. They played each other 24 times since 2005. 7 wins. Swansea, 8 wins. Forest has been 9 draws. They last played over at Swansea. It was a 4-1 win for Nottingham Forest back in December 2021. In fact, Nottingham Forest have scored 9 goals in the last 2 games against Swansea. But they're coming into on the back of a 3-0 loss to Arsenal. Back-to-back losses for Forest. Back-to-back games without a goal for them into this one. Swansea are on the back of Swansea. 20-13 on is your Forest. 14-5 is the draw. All eyes on this one on Wednesday. And I do think we might have a bit of an upset 2-1 win Swansea over Ange Ball to take it to the house. Then we skip forward a week and we're going to go to Oakwell as Barnsley take on Brighton. Conor Hunane's boys are looking good right now. 3 wins on the bounce on all competitions and all sizes. Up against Brighton under Fabian Utsler. 2 wins, 2 defeats over the last 4 matches. Now they played Barnsley 10 times since 2003. 3 wins for the hosts, 5 wins for the visitors, and 2 draws. They last played at Oakwell as a 2-0 win for Brighton back in February 2017. Actually, back-to-back wins for Brighton over Barnsley that season. In fact, it's won 3 clean sheets on the bounce for Brighton against Barnsley. Barnsley are on the back of that 3-2 win at Reading. In fact, they've actually played 3 matches at home in a row, scoring 8 goals in the 3 combined. Meanwhile, Brighton are on the back of that 2-1 loss to Bournemouth. The bookies for this one, 7-1 is your Barnsley right here, right now. 10-3 on your Brighton. 5-1 is the draw here. We're going to go with a 3-1 win. Brighton, they're going through to the next round. Of course, Barnsley are going home. Meanwhile, Burnley up against Cardiff. That's right, coming at you on the 23rd of September. Burnley under Scotty Parker, 2 wins, 2 defeats. They sit with 92% form for them at the moment. They played 27 times these 2 clubs since 2003. 7 wins Burnley, 8 wins Cardiff, 12 draws. They last played at Burnley. It was a 5-0 win for the Dingles. That was back in August 2024. So Burnley actually won 3 on the bounce against Cardiff, unbeaten against them in the last 6. So looking good for them right now. Burnley are on the back of that 1-0 loss to Liverpool. Cardiff on the back of that draw against Stockport County. Of course, by the time this game comes around, though, a couple of matches will have been played. Cardiff taking on the Peckerheads over in the league. Burnley taking on Forest as well in the league. Odds here, 7-4 on right now for Burnley. 50-4 is your Cardiff, and 7-2 is the draw. I love Cardiff to win. I really would. I've gone with a victory, though, for the Dingles. 2-0 winners to see them through. Let's go to Fulham. They take on Cambridge, also on the 23rd of September, coming at you as well. Fulham under Marco Silva, just 1 defeat in the last 6 up against Cambridge and Neil Harris. They've won 1, lost 1, and drawn 1 over the last 3. They've yet to play each other, according to my data. Fulham, though, are on the back of that 1-0 win over Leeds. Cambridge are on the back of that draw away to Grimsby. Bookies for this one, Fulham are 4-1 on for the victory. 11-1 is your Cambridge, 19-4 is the draw. No surprise here. Fulham should win this game 3-0. And, of course, move to the next round. We got Lincoln up against Chelsea coming at Sinsel Bank. That's right. Lincoln under Marcus Skabula are unbeaten the last 6. They've won 3 and drawn 3. Up against Chelsea, also unbeaten the last 6. They've won 4 and drawn 2. Also, like the previous, them 2 have not played, according to my data. And Lincoln coming into this are on the back of that 1-0 away win to Burton, with Chelsea picking up a 2-2 score away to Brentford. Of course, you'd fancy Chelsea on this one, no matter what. 12-1 is your Lincoln, 6-1 on is your Chelsea at this stage. Let's go to Wigan then as they take on Wycombe in a League One battle of the W's for a club looking for that elusive W. Will that send them through to the next round? Wigan under Ryan Lowe, they look good right now. Just 1 defeat in the last 6 up against Wycombe under Mike Dodds. Just 1 win in the last 4. They played 7 times since 2003. 3 wins Wigan, 2 wins Wycombe, and there's been 2 draws, including when these 2 sides last played last season over at Wycombe as a 0-0 scoreline. Meanwhile, last time they played at the DW, it was a 1-0 win for Wycombe, who are unbeaten against Wigan over the last 3. They haven't conceded a goal against them coming into this. Wigan, though, are on the back of that impressive 3-0 win over Doncaster. Wycombe on the back of that 2-1 loss to Peterborough. The odds for this one, 6-4 your Wigan, 90-10 is your Wycombe, 20-10 is the draw. Got to go with Wigan here. 2-0 winners, comfortably done. They look good right now. Wolves against Everton in the All-Premier League encounter. That's, of course, coming at you over at Molineux. Victor Pereira's boys are 17% form right now, just 1 win in the last 6. Against Everton, who are unbeaten in the last 4 under David Moyes. Played 23 times since 2003. 8 wins apiece and 7 draws. They last played this season over at Molineux. In fact, it was just was it? It was a couple of weekends ago, wasn't it? 3-2 winners it was for Everton at Molineux. Of course, in the Premier League, of course. Everton are unbeaten against Wolves over the last 3. They've won 2 and they've drawn 1. Wolves are on the back of that 1-0 loss to Newcastle. Everton on the back of that 0-0 score at home to Villa. Odds for this one, 9-5 is your Wolves, 7-5 is your Everton, 5-2 the draw. Tight one this one. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Everton under David Moyes. Could be a bit of silverware coming to Goodison, one at Goodison, the new place. Meanwhile, we're going to go Wrexham up against Reading. That's right, coming at the racecourse ground. Phil Parkinson under a bit of pressure right now. Up against Reading under Noel Hunt. They've played twice since 2024, 1 win apiece, no draws. Wrexham are on the back of a defeat themselves, just 2 wins of the last 5 up against Reading. Of course, 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6. They last played at Wrexham, 3-0 winners it was. I was around about match number 3 in the league last season. Wrexham coming out on top. Wrexham did lose at the racecourse ground last time around. In fact, it's back-to-back games. In fact, they haven't won at the racecourse in the last 3 matches. Goodness gracious me. They're getting their wins on the road. Meanwhile, Reading are on the back of that 3-2 loss to Barnsley at Oakwell. The bookies for this one, 6-4 on your Wrexham. 7-2 is your Reading. 31-10 is the draw. Tight one. Got to go with Wrexham, though. They should win this. Parkinson under pressure. Let's go to Liverpool then as they take on Southampton. That's also on the 23rd of September. Liverpool's Arnie Slot in the charge there. 4 wins on the bounce for them up against a Will still Southampton. The draw kings. They've drawn 3 of the last 5. Just 1 win in that last 5 as well. They played 54 times since 1993. 32 wins for Liverpool. 12 wins for Southampton. There's been 10 draws. They last played at Anfield. It was a 3-1 win in the Premier League back in March 2025. Liverpool won 4 on the bounce against Southampton, and they're coming into this on the back of back-to-back clean sheets, back-to-back 1-0 wins, having beaten Burnley lastminute.com this past weekend. Southampton on the back of back-to-back draws themselves, including a draw at the South Coast Derby. The odds here, 8-1 on is your Liverpool, 16-1 is your Southampton, 50-2 is the draw. We're going to go with Liverpool on this one, 4-0 win, comfortably done. We'll still in a bit of bother then. Let's go into the next one then, shall we? It's Huddersfield Town. They're going to be taking on, of course, Manchester City. Of course, it's coming out the John Smith's, Kirklees, McAlpine Stadium. That's right, of course. Lee Grant's boys, 67% form for them right now, winning 4, losing 2 over the last 6 against City under Pep Guardiola on the back of a win themselves. They played Huddersfield 13 times since 1996. 2 wins for Huddersfield, 6 wins City, and there's been 5 draws. They last played, of course, at this ground. It was a 3-0 win for Manchester City in the Premier League back in January 2019. City winning 3 on the bounce against Huddersfield, picking up 9, 14 goals against them, conceding just the 1. Of course, City on the back of that win over Manchester United. Bradford beating Huddersfield last time around. 11-1 is your Huddersfield, 7-1 on your City, 8-1 is the draw. Of course, games going to be happening in between this, including Champions League and much more than that. Arsenal as well. So, going to go with a win for City. 3-0 winners. They want to win this bit of silverware, won't they? Meanwhile, the champions of this is Newcastle against Bradford. What a game this could be. Of course, Newcastle under Eddie Howe, they sit 42% form for them right now. 1-1 loss, 1 draw over the last 3. Up against Bradford and Graham Alexander, just 1 defeat in the last 5, or last 6 matches even. They played Newcastle 5 times since 1999. 3 wins for Newcastle, 1 win for Bradford. There's been 1 draw between these 2 sides. They last played competitively at St James's Park way back in December the year 2000. It was a 2-1 win for Newcastle on that one. That's when they were both in the Premier League, goodness gracious me. The Geordies on the back of that 1-0 win over Wolves, back-to-back clean sheets for them. Bradford on the back of that 3-1 win over Huddersfield to put them back in the top 2 conditions in the league. 8-1 on is your Newcastle, 14-1. Yeah, Bradford, 17-2 is the draw here. Of course, it will be a win for Newcastle, but there'll be goals and drama. This is Bradford are just cooking right now. Meanwhile, Spurs taking on Doncaster Rovers, coming out at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tommy Frank's boys there winning 3 and losing the 1 the last 4. Doncaster under Grant McCann just 1 defeat in the last 6. They played the 1 time previously. I was in this competition, but it was at the Keep Moat way back in August 2009. Spurs coming on top with a 5-1 win in that match. They're also coming into on the back of that 3-0 away win against West Ham. Doncaster on the back of that 3-0 loss to Wigan. Goodness gracious me. 92 on is your Tottenham, of course. Red hot favourites. 70-2, of course. This one, Spurs win it. 2-0 winners. Not that big, not that impressive, but enough. And then finally, it's Port Vale up against Arsenal coming at you at Vale Park. Darren Moore's boys 1-3, lost 3 over the last 6 against Arsenal Mikel Arteta, just one defeat in the last 5. They've never played each other, these two sides, under my knowledge. Port Vale are on the back of that 2-0 win over Exeter. Arsenal beating Nottingham Forest last time around. The odds here, 14-1. Your Port Vale, 9-1 on is your Arsenal, and 9-1 is the draw, of course. No penalty shootouts for me, not even this one. 3-0 winners. Arsenal taking it to the house. So that is my Pickerinos, guys. Make sure you get yours in down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on these games. Do you agree with me? Any surprises? Do you think there'll be a couple of little shocks in this one? Let me know down below. But until then, we'll see you soon whenever we return. But until then, we're done.